So we're going to start with a little bit of soft tissue for the muscles in the front of the arm that could be contributing to the stiffness, moving your wrist in this direction. So you're going to take your right hand, you're going to take your thumb, and just try to locate any piece of muscle that feels hard, kind of like a rope, or that's tender. You're going to place your hands on the back side of the forearm, press down with the thumb, keeping the elbow bent, and then once you pin that spot down with your thumb, then you're going to wiggle your fingers and maybe just kind of flop your wrist up and down. Do that 5 to 10 times at that one spot, and then move on. Maybe just slide your your thumb down a little bit, pin that piece of muscle, flop the hand up and down. So once you find a band of muscle, chances are that that same band is going to be tight up and down the arm. So instead of kind of moving around in this direction, once you find a piece, then you're just going to move your thumb up and down, trying to stay in that same line up and down the forearm. So pin, hold it, wiggle the fingers, wrist up and down. If you get any numbness and tingling in your hand or your fingers, totally fine, just keep going. I know it's a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes, a little bit of sharp pain in the elbow is normal, but again, all you're doing is applying pressure to a muscle that is tight and restricting your range of motion. Right, so spend about 5 minutes doing that. Now we can move on to our wrist cars. So we're going to take the hands palms up. You're going to take the fingers down towards the floor, out to the side, up towards you, and then around. So you're trying to make a circle, the biggest circle that you can in both directions of the wrist. So really pushing your limit in all directions here. If you're following along, then my pace is pretty slow. I like to keep the elbows tucked in. I think it just limits, all of this from happening. So elbows tucked in, shoulders back and down, nice and slow on that wrist circle. Let's do one more in this direction. And then shake it out. Left arm out in front of you. You're going to take your right hand and pull back on those left fingers. You should hopefully feel a stretch down the forearm into the hand a little bit. And let's hold it here. So if we bend the elbow, it's going to feel a little bit different. So we're just going to, and we did not do this today, but I also want you to take those fingers and wrap them around the thumb so that you get all 5 fingers involved. So you're going to start with the elbow bent now, reach forward, and then bring the elbow back in. We're going to go in and out 10 times here. And I'm doing all 10 so that you do all 10. Thumb, maybe you get a little different feel here. So we're going to constantly be going back and forth between wrist flexion and wrist extension. So we loosen up both directions at the same time. Okay, last one, hold it here. Let it relax, shake it out. Let's take the backs of the hands together. Bring the hands towards your chest, shoulders down, and then you're going to try to drop those elbows as far as you can without letting the backs of your hands come apart. So keep back to the hands together, elbows down. Once you've reached your limit, I want you to try to make fists. So you're going to close the fingers, squeeze tight, And then open the fingers back up 10 times. Any cramping in the forearm here is totally normal. If you start to cramp, just shake it out, give it a little stretch like we just did, and then resume. Two more. All right, shake that out. We're gonna take palms together, fingertips straight. Start kind of by your face. You're gonna keep pressing the palms together as you lift the elbows and lower the hands in front of your heart. So if you start to feel the palms coming away from each other, that's your cue that you've gone too far. You wanna try to keep those hands together. So we're gonna hold this for 10 seconds and then follow it up with an isometric hold of the wrist extensors. So once we get to that point, you're gonna try to separate your hands without letting the wrists fall back together. So you're activating all of the muscles on the back side of the forearm and the fingers. So let's hold this just for a bit longer. Okay, try to separate the hands. Keep the wrists exactly where they're at for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, back together. Maybe go a little bit deeper, so lift the elbows higher, press the hands down lower. Try to separate and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. Good. Try to stay in that wrist extension stretch here. We got 3 more. Separate and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. Take a few deep breaths. We have 2 more. Separate and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. And last one. Separate and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and shake it out. Let's go back to the stretch where we place our right hand on our left fingers. Reach the arm out straight. Hold it. We're gonna keep the elbow straight this time. Okay, now I want you to kind of hold hands with each other so that the right fingers wrap around the pointer finger, and then you kind of grip both hands. So what you're gonna do is take your right hand and pull the left hand down. So we're still in that wrist extension stretch. And I want you to start to squeeze your right hand with your left hand as you bring both hands up into wrist flexion. Good, pull the hand back down. Let's do this with the elbow bend. So we're gonna squeeze both hands, start to pull your left wrist up into flexion, and now push the right hand down, taking the left wrist into extension. I want you to give yourself some resistance in both directions. So resist your left hand on the way up, and then also make it hard for yourself, make it hard for your right hand to push the left hand down. Got a couple more here. Last one, release your grip, straighten out the left elbow, right hand pulls the left fingertips back. Hold. Whew, relax and shake it out. All right, come into a tabletop position. We're gonna place the hands flat on the mat, but we're not gonna center our shoulders over our wrists. We're gonna kind of lean back a little bit, taking our hips more towards our heels. Push the elbows forward, keeping the elbows straight, and we're gently gonna rock forward, and you're gonna stop when you feel that limitation in your elbow. So we're gonna rock forward and back here 10 times. Make sure you're breathing. One more time, we're gonna rock it forward and hold it. So you're in deep wrist extension as you can be. Trying to keep that elbow straight. Hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Sit back onto your heels, shake it out. So if you can, we are going to try to turn the hands around now so that the fingertips are facing the feet. If this is inaccessible to you right now, then use a table, use a chair, use anything that you can elevate yourself to make this turning the hands back a little bit more accessible. And we're going to rock in this position 10 times. So if you find that the pace that we're moving along in this video is a lot slower than you normally go, I would encourage you to slow down a little bit if you're not going to follow along with the video, or just always turn on the video. Slower with this is a little bit better. So let's come off the hands, shake it out. All right, so that wraps up our wrist mobility little series here. I would highly encourage you to follow this up with any strengthening that we've done so far, or any other strengthening